Hello, hello, hello. This is Adrienne Berg, and this is The Ageless Traveler. And today we have an extremely important show because you've asked me, you're interested in going to Nepal. You're interested in trekking. You're interested in the arts and the culture. And maybe you've been there before. Maybe it was in the 1960s. Well, things have changed a little bit. And today we are going to be talking about sustainable tourism. We're going to be talking about local tourism, community tourism. And we talk all the time about what tourism gives to us. We're going to be also talking about what we could give to tourism because we have with us today the CEO, Community Homestay Network, Aayusha Prasain, who's going to be telling you about this community and how she's brought together over 50 different experiences for you working with the locals. So, Aayusha, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor and pleasure to be here with you.
Well, this is something different for us. I wasn't kidding when I said that it's special.
Yeah.
Let's talk first about what you're doing at the network. Explain to us what this network is all about.
Yeah. So Community Homestay Network, the name gives a little bit to it, like the name itself, Community Homestay. So we always imagine someone going to a home and staying there. But it's much more than that. It's not just the accommodation facility, but also the experience you get when you go and live with the locals. So Community Homestay Network works with 51 different communities across Nepal. So be it like the flat plains of Nepal or in the mountains. So we are trying to move beyond the landscape that Nepal is blessed with. So we are trying to change that narrative and also trying to bring in communities as collaborators and co-creators of tourism experiences where they can own their tourism products or experiences and shape tourism while we are in this ecosystem.
Well, Time named your community efforts one of the greatest places for 2025. Tell me three of the greatest things about what you're doing and what people will experience when they travel with you.
Yeah, so it would be definitely much more than a landscape. So it will be the warmth that you will receive when you are at any homestay or while doing any kind of experiences. So it will be Nepal that you have not imagined before or you would love to know more about if you have been there before. So it would introduce you to the whole new chapter where food, culture, diversity comes along. While doing all of this, you can also experience Nepal why it is famous for. So you can always visit mountains or do trekking, hiking. So you don't have to miss it if you're doing things with us, but you will do it in a more responsible way, more sustainable way.
So I want to unpack those words. In my world, the world of travel, the world of development, social development, those are big words. Sustainable, right? Regenerative, these are the big buzzwords. You know what? I have to tell you, Aayusha, personally, sometimes I don't know what it means. I want to know what you think sustainable means and how you are making that happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wish that I could disagree with you, but I agree on that part. These words can get very confusing. But how I'm taking this forward and how our organization is taking this forward is we're taking local communities where tourism goes, like how do they benefit or what are the costs they are having to pay when a traveler go in there. So for us, sustainability means how can we make that place enjoyable, not just for the travelers, but for the next generation who are living there. So that's sustainability for us. So just to go back to the question where we were named as Time one of the place that everyone should visit. So that place is called Thangka. So it's in the eastern part of Nepal. So how we are building a destination there is how we have integrated water smart solutions like rainwater harvesting, filtration through different other organizations. The project is funded by Australian government, but then implemented by intergovernmental body called ICIMOR and a lot of different partners like Smart Pani, where water solution comes in, local NGO, local communities, and we come in at the part of tourism. So we have started that destination from the scratch, and we are building the destination as a tourism destination. So to put the thought before even the travelers start coming in. to that place. So for us, that is sustainable. And for many communities that we started to work way back in 2017, when we started with a goal of empowering or having women entrepreneurs. But now we are also shifting and evolving and also trying to create a destination where we can already start working on these kind of elements from the beginning itself.
I think that's a very important point in a more global context. We talk about sustainability, but mostly we're retrofitting. We're looking at a place where there's a lot of tourism already, and we're trying to fix the problem. Venice is a great example. I mean, it's overwhelmed by tourism. So that's another issue, which is whether or not the tourism dollars actually goes into the community. And as you say, that has to be started from scratch because ownership has to be in the community to begin with. Otherwise, they're really just workers in somebody else's business, so to speak, if that makes sense to everybody now. So that's what I think about sustainability, because to me, it's a great driver of jobs. And jobs takes a country out of poverty, and poverty is a terrible thing politically and for the rest of the world. Anyone in poverty in a whole country is a threat. Everybody happy and sustainable is an asset to the whole world. Tourism is so important. It's beyond having a good vacation. Nevertheless, we want to have a good vacation, Aayusha. So when we come back, we're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about that vacation. I know you have many experiences that people could choose from, as you just mentioned. You could do the regular Nepal, if there is such a thing as regular Nepal. It's so exotic. And you could do special Nepal, community Nepal. So I'd like you to describe one or two actual trips that people can take. You're going to want to hear this, so don't you go anywhere. One of the things that you've told me over and over again is that your biggest barrier to travel is money. What else is new? Well, we have now affiliated and partnered with all the booking sites that you would be interested in. That's booking.com, that's hotels.com, that's Expedia, that's guides, get your guide, and of course, TripAdvisor, the big one. So if you are going to be booking, you're going to want to use the links that we provide for you because there are discounts there. There's also ease and convenience. It also does something for all of us. It is true, yes, I get a small donation in the event that you book through any of these sites, but I plow it right back in so that we can have more research, more clout in the world of anti-ageism and tourism, and get you even more discounts. So please use these because it'll be good for you and it'll be good for your family. And it really puts a lot more money in your pocket and makes life easy. How do you do that? Well, you simply go to our discount page on agelesstraveler.com/discounts. You'll see that also in the show notes. So use it and never stop traveling. And now we're back. And you know who we're back with. We're talking about Nepal. I remember, and I really do remember, it was the 1960s. And I had just gotten out of college. I was going to law school. So I did the usual thing. I took my books, my $5 books, and I went to Europe on $5 a day with friends. But then a strange thing happened. People, around the time they were deciding whether to go somewhere from Italy, they had two choices. Aayusha, you're too young. You don't even know what I'm talking about here. You would meet in benches or at great tourism like the Trevi Fountain in Italy, and all of a sudden there'd be 100 young kids almost going to college or college-age kids, and they would know each other. And this was all over Europe. This was England and France, all over the UK, Germany. And they decide, where are we going to go next? They're all backpacking and sleeping in the street or going to a hostel. Their mothers would send them with traveler's checks. My listeners know what I'm talking about. And then they had to decide where they're going next. And they would regroup. Some wanted to go here, some wanted to go there. And I'll never forget the day that I did this. I was in Italy and had two choices. Greece, going to Athens, or Kathmandu.
Oh.
And the group split. I actually went to Athens. Why did I go to Athens? Because I had a minor in Oriental philosophy, and it
Mhm.
started first with the Greeks. So I wanted to go there. Everybody
Mhm.
else who wanted to have a different experience, a much more enlightening spiritual experience, drugs, I didn't say drugs, would go to Kathmandu, right? No joke. And
Mhm.
it almost separated who you were as a new young adult. So Nepal is not a stranger in our
Yeah.
lexicon of travel. Give us a taste. We get
Mhm.
there. Where do we start? And how long do we stay on average with your trips?
So let me give you two examples. One would be the like how we say regular Nepal, where it will involve a lot of hiking, trekking, seeing the mountains. And another would be more focused on the cultural part, the Nepal that people usually don't imagine as. So when you land here in Kathmandu, so first we will go for a hiking trip. So you fly to Pokhara and then take a hiking tour. That would be an alternative to the Annapurna base camp. Annapurna base camp trip is very popular, and
Yes.
there is a spot in between called Tatopani, and it's on a verge of overcrowdedness. So we actually made a trek called Annapurna Community Trek, where we will take an alternative path where you will be staying at community lodges, community homestays. We'll be going through a very different route, less crowded route, but then the view that you will get would be pretty much similar or even beautiful than the regular one. So these are the trips. So for that you would need 9 days, so you can go. And if you want to do like cultural experiences here in Kathmandu, we have tied like hands with local artisans here in Nepal who have been doing the crafts from through generations. Like, so they are really skilled at what they are teaching you, what you are experiencing. So if you have a day extra or 2 day extra, you can do hands-on activity like traditional painting, trying out ancient script, or making momo. Momo is our dumpling. It's very famous, and Nepali people love their momo. So you can also get a hands-on experience of cooking that here while you are here in Kathmandu. So that would be one of the trips that will lead you closer to the mountains. And another would be a trip to Boroli. It's a southern plain part of Nepal. Like, people don't imagine Nepal as a place where it has flatlands. So we have flatlands. We have rhinoceros. When I told one of the journalists who was visiting here in Nepal, he was amazed to know that Nepal has rhino. So that's also a bit of our work, that we're trying to change the narrative. We are very proud of our mountains, but we also want to move beyond that singular narrative. So it's a great opportunity to explore Nepal, where you could do jeep safari, have a look at wildlife, but that would be also towards the alternative destination. So we have several national parks here in Nepal. So one of them, like the oldest one, is Chitwan National Park, and towards is west end, there's a community called Baroli Community Stay. So you can stay there. They live in the buffer zone. You can visit their community forest. You can do jeep safari. You can have a like experience where you can do wall painting. The people who live there are called Tharu people. So they have their own tradition, cultural dances, wall painting, a lot of different activities. So you can enjoy that. So that can be done in 3 nights, 4 days, or how you want to stretch the trip.
And of course, you can meld the two. So as you're
Yes.
speaking, my mind is going to a wonderful recent experience I had spending several weeks in Uganda. And
Mhm.
of course, many safaris, many jeep safaris, and staying at lodges. And I will tell you, those who are willing to go to more indigenous homes had the real experience. But honestly, just as luxurious. Joe, just as
Yes.
fine, really and truly. So let's go to the Jeep Safari for a moment. In terms of animal life, because you're right,
Mhm.
we do not associate Nepal with animal life or safari. Give us a little taste of that.
So we have like Chitwan National Park has highest number of tiger here in Nepal. We have Royal Bengal tiger, and then we have one horned rhinoceros who is also indigenous to Nepal and India. And you can see a lot of spotted deers and Chitwan National Park and the periphery around that. So it would be around Boroli as well. Like it's a very beautiful place to do bird watching. So there are a lot of activities that would be around there. And everyone enjoys that. I can guarantee that because a month ago I went there with my family, with my mom, my sister-in-law, and my kids. So everyone had something to do. Like you can dress like local. So my mom absolutely loved it because it was from different culture. We loved the jeep safari. Kids loved the boating where they could see crocodiles. And we loved like henna painting, henna art in our hands, wall painting. So it can be such a cultural and wildlife package all together. And the wildlife, yeah, tigers are like it. You have to be really lucky. But rhinoceros, spotted deers, and there are a lot of options.
Yeah. So I will say, I just did a piece on our newsletter. Everybody, you should get the newsletter. Tell you about it in a minute. On glamping actually it was glamping in Rajasthan in India. And it was a tiger photo safari. So that was
Oh.
really interesting. My husband did that, and I can attest to the fact he still says it's the best he ever went to. So it's a great experience. Now, before we take a break, I do want to go back to the trekking for a minute, and actually all of it. And that is, what advice do you give in terms of the ability to do this? Now, we are not talking about people with disabilities. We're talking about the average, active, mature traveler who might actually, like myself, be in a hiking club or in a walking
Mhm.
club. But what should they know? How difficult? Because I want my listeners to be realistic about what they
Yeah.
can do.
So for us, we always give the instruction. I don't know, a lack of a better word, like at least you have to be moderately fit. That means 3 to 4 hours of walking per day, and it will be uphill. So you will reach up to the height of around 4,000 meters. So you'll have to be prepared in that terms, but you always will have a local guide and a specialized tour leader with you. So they will be there. So it will be very helpful and comfortable. 3 4 hours every day, 3 to 4 hours of walk you have to be prepared for. And I believe like for Nepal, it's not just the walk. You have to be prepared more for the altitude as well.
Yes.
Sometimes the altitude rise very quickly, so you have to be careful. You have to follow the instruction of the tour leader that is with you. So if you are with the right hands, I think it is a doable trek, especially because our clientele is usually about 45 plus. Our B2B, majority of our B2B are people who would like to spend some time in Nepal. So I think it is a doable trip for those age group as well.
So let me tell you, I have measured this carefully, and this is what I want my listeners to know about altitude. First of all, you can altitude train. There's
Mm-hmm.
probably no
Yeah.
place, even in the flatlands of the United States, that you can't find a hill or a way of training. Second of all, you can train even indoors if you get the right coach, if this is something you're serious about. Now, I have been in the Andes and I've been to Bhutan, and I actually spend a great deal of time in Utah, so which is ski resorts. I find it difficult around 11,000 feet. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
meters. I've been up to 16,000, and that's high. That was in the Andes. Around what would be the highest, do you think, in your treks?
The highest would be if you travel to Everest base camp. So base camp level. I'm not a mountaineer as well, so I don't know like for the mountains, but for us it would be more on the trekking towards the base camp. So Everest base camp would definitely be on the higher, like 5,000 plus meters. But other than that, it would be up ranging from 3,000 to 4,000 meters.
And when you're in your, I'm going to call it the community or artisan tours and the safari tours, what is there an altitude issue there as well, even though you're not trekking or hiking?
No, no, it wouldn't be. Yeah. If
Fantastic.
you're above 2,000 meters, If you're above that, then that could be an issue. But with proper acclimatization and with proper guidance from the tour leaders, we do not have those kind of case as of now. So
Actually, I have to go do my math because I have to convert meters into feet to see what's going on. I can tell you that for those who don't know, Santa Fe, which is a big tourism area for us, is 7,000 feet above sea level, and
Mhm.
people don't realize it. And they go to Santa Fe, which they don't think of at all as high, and they wonder why. Why do I feel like I'm going to pass out? I don't know. I'm just running around the mall. So yes, when we come back, I do want to talk about the artisan experience, and I want to talk about the food. You mentioned one kind
Yes,
of food, but I want
yes,
all the food. Okay,
yes.
you guys, don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back. Our free weekly newsletter, Travel Tuesday. Just visit agelesstraveler.com, click subscribe, and enter your name and email for a surprise gift. What's the surprise? Well, if I tell you, it's not a surprise. What I can say is that Travel Tuesday tackles travel barriers like money, health, companionship, and even travel burnout, and gives you a taste of what our blog and podcast have to offer every single week, helping you explore the world effortlessly. And now we're back, and we're talking about a very special kind of tourism. And so, to explain this to us, is the CEO of Community Homestay Network, Aayusha Prasain. And I'm going to be crass. What can we buy, Aayusha, that we would like to take home?
So I'll start with the experience and what you can buy, right? So for us, we have, like I mentioned before, we are working with a lot of women entrepreneurs in this space where they can provide a lot of experiences that is surrounded by food, and also with traditional craftsmen and artisans who've been working in this space for generation. So for the food part, you can always try momo, and there's a lot of variety in Nepal. Like if you go to the southern plain, you can have food that belongs to Tharu culture. So that would be like dikri, that they're like steamed rice cakes, and even snails like escargots, like French ones, but the smaller version of it. And then a lot of different kind of pickles from star fruit, very tropical in that sense. And if you come to Kathmandu, it would be more on the momo. If you go upper, then for the Sherpa culture, it would be thenduk. They are like more in terms of similar to noodles. So we have a lot of variety. And if you are centered around in Kathmandu, like I mentioned, momo, but then also samay bhaji. So we have beaten rice. You'll have to come to Nepal to try all those. And we have bara. They are like lentil pancakes, and curries like bean curry, potato curry, a lot of potato salads, a green salad, soybean salad. So a lot of those kind of variety. So you can experience them by going to a local house. You can take a full experience of cooking and eating, or you can also do just the eating part.
I don't cook at all. My joke is I only have supervised visitation with my stove. They don't allow me to be by myself. But I love cooking lessons. I always take them. I know how to make gumbo until I actually make it.
Okay.
But the thing is, that's what I would do. I would take the culinary lesson. And I've done it. I mean, I love it. I did it in Vietnam and in Cambodia, and I would love to do it in Nepal. Now, the artisans. Now, these are women's projects where they have
Yeah.
reproduced the traditional kinds of crafts.
Yeah, for some of them, it's women project, and for some, it's like I mentioned, like generational craft. So we have a art called Mithila art. So it is from a place called Janakpur, but then you can experience that here in Kathmandu, where the indigenous community from that place have come, because Kathmandu is the capital and melting pot of different cultures. So a lot of people from different parts of Nepal have come here. So we have a woman entrepreneur named Sarita. So she teaches you the traditional Mithila art. So Mithila art is a art where you use a lot of colors, like around 64 different colors can be used, and it's a form of self-expression. It originally started with a concept where in the village, if there's any kind of festival or ritual, women come together and paint on their wall, paint on their garden, different kind of cultural elements, putting thought into it. But now we can do it on a canvas paper. So she teaches us. So these kind of activities can be taught by her. But we also have professional pawa artists. So pawa painting is a Tibetan form of painting. It's very similar to Tibetan form of painting. That's why I'm calling it Tibetan form, because it's very similar and it's easy for the audience to understand as well. They're very indigenous to Kathmandu Valley. So they teach that, and you can also get them as a souvenir. It's a very spiritual form of art. It's a very special way of doing it. So we have classes for that. We have ancient like script called Ranjana Lipi classes, where you can do traditional craft calligraphy classes with the locals. They will have you have your lunch there, teach how to art, how to write the script, and you can also write your name with their instructions.
So these are beautiful things, and they're actually hands-on. And I'm going to take a little bit of a break. When we come back, I do want to talk about festivals. You mentioned that some of the art actually derives from community festivals that are local, where people get together. And the second thing I want to ask you about when we come back is wellness, travel, and spirituality. So as I said, the closest I have been is Bhutan, and there's no doubt that there was an element of spirituality in everything that I experienced at that time. It was the beginning of tourism there, and I think things may have changed there as well. But certainly that was what was imbued in everything we've done. And I felt that same way, honestly, in parts of China and in many parts of India. So it has been a wonderful part of my life to be able to experience different kinds of worship, different kinds of meditation, and brought, I would say, more transformation to me, with the exception of museums, which is my temple. Museums are my temple. With the exception of that, I would say that this has been my real takeaways. We come back, we want to talk about festivals, and we want to talk about spiritual experiences that one might have going with you guys because you are the locals. So don't you guys go anywhere. If you've been thinking about a cruise, I've definitely got you covered with Cruises It. Now, we have just become affiliated with them. And who are they? Well, Cruises It is the top agency for all the main cruise lines and some of the less known cruise lines as well. Cruises It has access to booking space that's been open years in advance, so you can get the best cabins. That's just number one. But they also make the prices lower. The cruise lines give Cruises It their own exclusive agency discounts. And if you're not from the cruise line, they have their own agency discounts that would apply as well. So you get both any discounts you would normally get on the cruise line, plus additional discounts that are given exclusively to Cruises It because they bring in so much business. On top of all those discount perks, when you book with them, you get the best rate guaranteed. And this is because Cruise Fare Watch system takes place. Now, what Cruises It does is it tracks the pricing until the final payment date. So you keep in mind that to get the best rate guaranteed, you have to use my site. We have affiliated with them specifically. I sat down, I met with them in Tucson, Arizona. I met with Marianne Weather. We've now become good friends. She gave me a direct line. Not only a link, which you can certainly use right away, but if you have questions, even a specific phone number. Cruises It offers this not just to anyone that is one of our followers, but if you have friends and family, you can bring them in too. So just take a look at the show notes, and you will see our dedicated phone line and our dedicated link. Happy sailing. And now we're back, and sadly, we're coming to the end of our show, but I think we're coming with a wonderful crescendo because we're talking about true community experiences. And by the way, folks, There aren't very many. I have been to many that claim to be community events, and honestly, they are organized, choreographed, homogenized, all these words where you could have done this kind of thing on your own, probably better. But when real communities get together, as we have here, we're talking about traveling to Nepal with Community Homestay Network, and we're speaking with the CEO herself, Aayusha Prasain, about what you'll really experience. It makes a difference. It's very long lasting in your life. I actually speak on cruise ships, festivals around the world, and I show people pictures of some of the festivals I've been to, and they've stayed with me. What's the big deal? That really is community. So tell us about some festivals and when they take place. What time of year they take place?
We have a lot of festivals. I think we are one of the countries that is very relaxed and have a lot of community sense because we have a lot of festivals and temples. Because I think temples are the place for us where we can gather and have a sense of community feeling, and festival also offer the same feeling as families come together. So when community homestays, the communities that we work with, open their homes during festival, it's very special for us. So I'll share one experience where one of the experience provider opened their house for our team during one of the very important festival for them. So it is around Bhaktapur. So Bhaktapur is one part of Kathmandu Valley. So he is indigenous from there, and he provides pottery classes to our travelers. So he said, why don't your team come and understand what we celebrate? Why don't you come and understand my family? So that was a very special invitation. And we went there. The festival is called Sindur Jatra. It happens around the month of April. We went 2 years back, but that has been such a special memory for me as well. Like you mentioned, it's very special when someone opened their home, especially during the festival, because it's a very hectic time. And then in addition, having guests is a bit difficult, but I think it's the warmth that people provide with. So we had lunch with the family. He took us to alley where we wouldn't have that much crowd, but would give a perfect view of how the festival is going around. He explained us. I think what's something very special to do these kind of trip with local people, local artisans, is that they will explain you the nuances of the festival, how it's evolving, what they have been doing, or how they are safeguarding these festivals. So that is very special in that term. So we have many festivals. So one of them that the community here in Kathmandu are very welcoming is also called Ma Puja. So that would also connect with the spirituality, because Ma Puja is celebrated during Tihar. It's our festival where we worship brother and sister, like brother, sister, pray for each other during that festival. It's also a festival of lights. If you've been to India, maybe you know the festival Diwali. So it falls during the similar time. We follow the same calendar, lunar calendar, and according to the Hindu mythology. But for the Newar community, they have a very special day called Ma Puja. So that is puja means like a ritual, and Ma is like myself. So in that day, you worship your soul itself.
Uh-huh.
So it's very spiritual, and like you are worshiping the soul, your protector, and the family member, the elder member of the family helps facilitate the puja itself. Like you're worshiping. It's more on the inner reflection part of it. So it's very special. And a lot of our travelers love to do that. And people have like community homestays have opened their home to it. So spirituality, I think nowadays we're also moving very individualistic in the name of spirituality. But what Nepal can truly offer beyond mountains or temple is that you can have the slow life and have a community, the sense of community, where you can come together and experience spirituality like before in a very slow way, in a sense that community come together, and you don't have to be very individualistic in that sense, like the shared happiness, joy, and warmth. But seeing that, we also have monasteries, temples where you can go in the morning, where you don't have to go there as a traveler. I think one of the very different experience that you'll have here in Nepal is a lot of the tourist place is not just for the travelers. We go there too.
For the
The
locals.
locals go there too. Yeah. So if you go, we have a temple here in a Buddhist temple here in Kathmandu called Swambhunath, and it's very famous as Monkey Temple. So if you go there, travelers go there, but the local people go there as well. And if you go there in the morning or evening, you will see people lighting lamps, offering prayers. So that is spirituality for, I think, all of us here in Nepal, like coexisting between religions like Hinduism, Buddhism coexist.
Yes.
And local people, traveler coexist. So there isn't any separate area. Like there are a few temples and where there are religious restriction, but not the whole of it. So you can go, and there is a temple called Pashupatinath. So in Hindu culture, people are not cremated, but they are burned, right?
Yes.
So there's a whole funeral process. So the travelers or the foreigners can see that. So it's very, for many of them, it's very moving. So spirituality is in very little things. There is, of course, the bigger of religion and how you want to take it, staying at a monastery or talking to a monk, talking to a priest, going on a cultural walk. We have a lot of techniques on sound bathing. We have a yoga session. We offer a lot of these kind of things in our trip as well.
I did want to tell you, and you may not realize how compelling what you're saying is. In the 1990s, there was a book written by a very important sociologist called Bowling Alone.
Mm-hmm.
And what he was actually writing about was that more people in the United States were bowling. They were doing the game of bowling, but they were not any longer in bowling leagues. They used to all
Mm-hmm.
bowl together in a group
Mm-hmm.
in bowling leagues, and they were still bowling, but they were bowling alone. And we have a lot of that here. We could make a new book called Praying Alone. People still pray, they still are spiritual, but that sense of praying in community and
Mm-hmm.
even praying for community or with community is listening. And it's reestablished when you go to a place like Nepal and you get involved with that, regardless of your belief, as long as it's welcoming for everyone. So that's really an interesting insight into an extra benefit, let's say, of going to a place like Nepal in general. And with so much there and so many relationships between fun festivals and spirituality, it doubles down even with that. But you mentioned something. You mentioned yoga, and you just threw
Mm-hmm.
the word out there. Well, I just wrote in our newsletter about the growing idea of yoga retreats and yoga trips. Is there anything in wellness that's starting there? And because that's a big part of tourism now, going places for wellness specifically, like yoga, like meditation, and even spas. Anything happening in Nepal with regard to that?
Yes, it is growing and it's getting very professional, let's say. Like we have, I think yoga has been something that has come to us through our culture and tradition roots, but it was not customized as a package long before. But
Right.
now there's a growing trend, and Nepal is tapping to that as well. So we have a sister organization. We tie with them like really closely. So for our travelers that coming in for wellness and spirituality, we like I mentioned before, like we start the session with sound healing yoga sessions, and they also have like community hikes where they tie up with us. So we take them to one of the community that's nearby to Kathmandu, like 20 kilometers away. It's a very beautiful hill station, Nagarkot. So we hike up there, do yoga sessions there. People like travelers can stay there or come back to Kathmandu itself. So we have multiple things that are we are also trying to integrate into that space. And if you are a trekker or avid hiker, and if you're tired, then there are really well spa salon sessions here in Nepal as well.
So now we're going to finish with a very practical question. And that is, how many people do you usually take on your trips? And what if it's just a couple or, two friends or even a solo traveler? What can you say about the number of people and even the solo traveler?
Yeah, so for us, so for solo and couple, family, like we also do B2C, like direct, like clientels, like they could be couple, like couple or friend or family, or even solo. We have done that. We have an experience of doing that. So we have a travel specialist, travel expert who handles that. But then we also have B2B specialist where we take packages from other travel agents and curate it for them, like cultural part or the hiking part or the guiding part, whatever the resources we have, we try to provide them and facilitate the trip. So for that, we also do like 10 to 15 packs. So we have large group on that side.
So you could expect 10 to 15 people in a
Yes,
group, or you can make an arrangement for yourself or your own group or a couple
yes,
through your
yes,
community network. Well,
yes.
as everybody knows, we will have all the information to do that on the site in our show notes and, of course, in Travel Tuesday. So we thank you so much. I mean, this has been an eye-opener. I don't think everybody who thinks about Nepal realizes that they can do it on such a granular and local level. This is certainly something out of the ordinary and absolutely spectacular, added to the fact that it's the right way to go in terms of sustainable tourism. So important. And the future, as I say, of tourism. So thank you so much, Aayusha. Keep us up to date with all the new things that are going to be happening with your organization.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. And I think to shine a light on local community, women entrepreneurs, it's been a pleasure to share my work and our work at Community Homestay Network. Thank you so much.
Yes. And everybody else, you know what I'm going to say. Please, please, everything is free. Join our Facebook salon, join our weekly newsletter, Travel Tuesday. Make sure that you get all the discounts you can by looking at our website under the tools and discounts section. We have a lot of free ebooks out. You just go to agelesstraveler.com and never stop traveling.